Welcome to Kathryn Raaker's World. Innovation, culture, adventure, fashion and health, artists, destinations, traditions. This is Kathryn Raaker's World.
I will. Hi, this is Kathryn Raaker, Kathryn Raaker's World, and I want to introduce a really wonderful expert, and her name is Jennifer Corcoran, and she is the CEO and founder of Drop It by Wine RX. And I want to tell her story today because I'm allergic to wine. And I couldn't drink it because I would get a red face or a major headache from it. And it really made it tough for me to be able to drink and savor wine that I love. And I cook with wine all the time as well. So welcome to our show, Jennifer. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today, Kathryn. I really appreciate it.
And I have to tell you, you have the same problem, didn't you? And that's how you started this whole business. Tell me how you started it. You were in the medical billing or medical world, right? Before you did this. Can you tell us about your background?
Yes, I had spent about 30 years in either the pharmaceutical or the medical diagnostic sales side of the industry, and was really pretty happy with that. It was a nice job and provided well for myself and my family for many years. And once my kids left, I had a little bit more time to spend with my friends, going out for dinner, going to their houses,
right?
And everybody could drink wine, and I couldn't. I just, if I drank a half a glass of wine, I would just, before I would even finish that glass, before I would even finish this glass of wine, I would just get just a really bad headache. And so for about 10 years, I had not been having wine, and I think, with raising children and working, that probably didn't seem to be so bad. But once I had a little bit more free time on my hands, I kind of wanted to enjoy that with my friends. And also I found that we were going to many more weddings and events where people were celebrating with nice stuff like champagne. And I just couldn't partake in any of that. And while I like a martini, which was fine, I really wanted to be able to participate and just enjoy a glass of wine at the end of the day, or with friends or family at special occasions. So I have a background in biology and chemistry, and I thought, I'm just going to look up, to see what it was, because I really kind of thought I was alone, because not many of my friends seem to have a real problem. So I did a lot of research, and actually a couple years reading about, what the possible causes are. And it's not really an allergy to wine. It's really more of an intolerance. Some people are actually allergic to the sulfites and tannins in wine, only about 1%. But there's a lot of people like you and I, Kathryn, where it's just like it's a reaction. It's an intolerance. And there's many different things. My issue was the headache. Yours, as you've said to me, was
red face.
Red face. And
I look like I had sunburn.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of embarrassing, all of a sudden you look really nice. You go somewhere, and all of a sudden you look like you've been out in the sun all day. And some people, their eyes get watery, their nose gets stuffy. Some people get really bad indigestion. There's just so many. It's like pollen. Not everybody reacts the same way to pollen. Some people get watery eyes. Some people get itchy. I mean, it's just how your body reacts. And through the research I did, the little culprits in this really great bottle of wine are the sulfites and tannins, and more so the sulfites and whites, because the whites are very, very high in sulfites naturally. And they also often times the winemakers do need to have a certain level of sulfites to be able to
Preserve
keep
the
them
wine.
and transport them. So they sometimes have to add the sulfites to the wine. But your red wines, which is what I really like. What do you like, Kathryn? You like
Actually, I love both.
yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah,
love red wine because it's so smooth.
yeah.
And I cook with a lot of wines, as you know, but I always have a glass of wine there.
Yeah.
And every time I would drink a glass of wine on television, my face would turn this bright red, and I was like,
Oh,
no.
yeah. What is going on here? I know it's bad when your face matches your lipstick, right?
Yeah, that's right. You don't want that to happen, right?
No.
It was
no.
embarrassing. It was embarrassing, actually.
Yeah. So then, I looked at it also because I didn't drink a lot of whites because they gave me almost worse headaches. But I still had the issue with the reds, and I found in the research that in the reds it could possibly be your tannins, and tannins are called they fall in this group called polyphenols. So I thought, well, maybe it's one or both. It could be something else in the wine, but everything was pointing to that. So I looked and I said, okay, well, what do winemakers do if the sulfites or tannins are too high in their wines before they bottle them? Because they don't want to send them out if they're too high either. So I found a bunch of natural ingredients that winemakers used on a big scale when they're in these big vats and making all this wine. And I have to say, these winemakers work really, really hard to create these great wines that you like to have with dinner, or
I'd like to be a wine. I would love to own a vineyard.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I've seen what they all do and have been to many wine association meetings and things, and it's amazing what they go through to make this bottle of wine just for you. So I thought, maybe I could take it down to a smaller scale, and I was kind of just doing this for me because I really thought, based on how my friends drank their wine, that I was the only person that had this issue. So I tried a whole bunch of different things, different levels of things, and I finally came upon one that didn't change the flavor, which to me was really, really important. I didn't want to change the flavor of the wine, and I wanted something that was natural. And so I found something, and I thought, wow, this is working. I had some wine last night, and I didn't have a headache. And I have to stress, I wasn't looking to not be able to have a hangover. If I have too much wine, I'm gonna have a hangover just like everyone else. I want that glass of wine or two in the evening. And so I actually thought, well, kind of want to take this with me. I don't want to just use it at home. So I had an old Visine bottle and I emptied it out, took the label off, and I thought, well, how am I going to identify this, So I just wrote the words "drop it" on it because I couldn't think of anything else. So I put the words.
That's cute. I love it.
on the bottle. And so I was taking it out to dinner or to friends' houses, and everybody wanted to know, because it kind of looks funny, like you're putting something in your wine. It's not like it looked like Sweet and Low or anything. So I told them what it was and why I was doing that. And most of my friends kept saying, wow, I do get those headaches, right? Like you, Kathryn, I do get flushed. And Kathryn, I'm sure that even if you didn't have that problem, you probably know someone that does.
And I also get a headache. It all depends on which wine it is.
Yes, it does.
If it's a red wine, I get the headache.
And that's probably for the tannins for you.
Right. And the white wine, the face just bright red.
Yeah, then for you, it's the sulfites in the white and the tannins in the red. Right. Yeah, they're kind of inverse of each other. The whites have a lot more sulfites. And
I don't ever drink very much. That's the funny part.
Yeah, I know. And people go, oh, yeah, I know what you did. I mean, there's times when I probably have had a little too much wine.
Right.
But we all probably have had a little bit of that.
Right.
So my friends asked me if I would make them some, and I said, well, if you bring over an empty Visine bottle or something like that, a dropper bottle, I'll pour some in there. And I only had enough to, like, in a little soda bottle
Right.
worth, but then their friends started coming to my house and asking me if they could have some too. And I thought, maybe this is bigger than I think. And that's when I did the research that showed that about 36 million people possibly do have some sort of reaction to these ingredients that are needed when they're being shipped. But you don't need them anymore. Once you open that bottle, I don't know, most people, you open that bottle, give it a day or two.
And on that note, we need to take a short break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back to tell the rest of your story, which is really exciting as an entrepreneur.
All right.
Right. And you're welcome. And you will be right back.
Thanks. Okay, Kathryn, I'll be here.
Okay.
Bye.
And I need to have your website, please. So
dropitwine.com. You can read the story there too.
Right. And we'll be right back with Jennifer Corcoran, the CEO and founder of the wonderful product Drop It by Wine RX. We'll be right back. We are back with my new friend and expert for our shows, Jennifer Corcoran, who started and founded Drop It by Wine RX. And you were telling me is you had already made it and you were doing the research. So talk to me and tell our audience what happened next, Jennifer.
Yeah, so I thought, maybe I've stumbled on something because my friends actually started coming back for more of what I had. So what I thought I would do before I took it any further was to send it to a really reputable lab in Napa Valley.
Oh, yeah.
See. Yeah, I mean, that's what you kind of have to do. If
Right.
I needed to see if it was just something in my head
Or
if it really was working. So interestingly enough, when they measured the sulfites in the wine, after 2 drops, the sulfites, whether it's a red, white, or sparkling, are virtually eliminated. They
eliminated? Totally?
Almost eliminated, yeah. Because what it's doing is it's turning your sulfites into sulfates. So your body isn't recognizing it to attack it, so you won't get your headache type of thing. And the tannins, they actually looked at a big phenol panel and of 9 phenols. And while we didn't reduce all of them, which is a good thing, and I'll explain why, we reduced most of the what they call pre-tannins in wine. And it's those pre-tannins in wine that many times makes it very astringent when it's a younger wine, hasn't had time to fine out and settle those tannins to the bottom of the bottle. So it was really taking care of the pre-tannins more so in the wine. The resveratrol is what you want for your cardiac health with the red wine, is kept fully intact. So I wanted to make sure I picked the right protein to attach to what's called a hydrogen bond in those pre-tannins. And then what it does is it's kind of like a little mini fining going on in your glass. So again, not changing the flavor, but your body's not going to recognize it because that open hydrogen bond is now missing, and it's been precipitated out to the bottom of your glass. So when that happened, I thought, okay, so I had a label designed, started printing up materials, and want to see, and this is what I came up with right here.
I love it.
It's really tiny. It's very tiny.
It's only about this big.
Yeah.
It looks bigger, but what surprises me is, tell them how many drops, because, and even for the bottles, and what that little bottle can do. Okay, what can that little bottle do?
Yes, each one of these bottles will treat up to 55 glasses of wine. It depends if you're drinking white, red, or white and sparklings are about the same, because if you're drinking whites, you only need 1 or 2 drops in a 5 or 6 ounce glass, kind of like this.
Mhm.
Or in a red, you're going to need 2 to 3. And if you're really sensitive, you can go up to 4 without changing the flavor of the wine.
Right.
And if you do go up to 4, then back it down to 3 and see if you can just do a 3. But up to 55 glasses of wine, or if you want to just treat the whole bottle, it'll treat 7 to 9 bottles of wine.
That's
So
really
for,
unbelievable.
so you can just put it in your purse. You want one at home. You want to get two of these if you ever do buy one, because you want one on your kitchen counter at home, and you want one in your purse because you don't really want to forget it. That's for sure.
I have to tell you, when I met you the first time and we got to know each other, I have to tell you that I had to try it first. You know, everything that I get, as you know, I do a lot of products.
Right, you do.
And when I got it, I went, oh, please, Lord, help this work. So, and I, like I said, I can drink 8 ounces, but usually I start with 4 ounces of wine, right? Because,
Right.
and I put it in there, and then I ran into the bathroom or wherever I was, and I looked, and there's no red. There's nothing on my face. And I went, this stuff works. And so I put that little bottle in my purse. So it was really funny. I think I said this to you a couple of days ago when I was doing a cooking show. I use it on my cooking show all the time. And I was having a really stressful day. I just wanted a glass of wine.
That's all you wanted.
Right. And I sat down in front of the television. I didn't even think about it. And all of a sudden, I felt something, and I went, oh no, I forgot. And there was this big red face again. I said, no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I keep an extra bottle in my purse, on my person, if I'm going to do it, because I think it's really important that once you have something that really can change, actually, you know, something to make it more enjoyable, that's why you do it, right?
Well, it can change a lifestyle for you in some cases, and I don't know why, but there's something about a glass of wine at the end of the day, like you had that really hard day, and you just wanted to just sit down and sip on a glass of wine, you know, either
Right.
while you're making
We're
dinner or
not talking about alcoholism. We're talking
no, no,
about wine.
no.
You know what I mean? And it's funny because I love to sip wine, and I know that this is going to sound weird. I always put ice in my wine
I do that.
because I like it, and I got to tell you, I have to get some ice wine. You know, I love ice wine.
Mhm.
And I mean, we lived in Singapore, we lived in England, we lived in Turkey, we lived all over. And I tried more wines than you can ever imagine. And I have to share this with you because it's really cool. When I lived in Turkey, I went to Hungary more than once. And I have a very good friend there that they had over 1,000 years of the King of Wines. And they have a very special thing in Hungary where they have all the judges and everything else. Well, I was invited to the judges' winery.
Nice.
And we stayed overnight in this part of Hungary. And I have to tell you, I have never experienced some of the wines that they had. It was out of this world. So anyhow, but you know, I don't want us to run out of time or anything. And so what I want to ask you is, how long, Jennifer, did it take you to develop the product and get it on the market, and from beginning to where we are today?
I would say it was easily a couple of years, because I had a full-time job, and I worked on it in between that, and you really have to make sure you have everything right. You had to find the right little bottle to
Mhm.
to put it in, get your label design, what do you want to put on the back of your label. You're also going after trademarks and patents and those things to protect you before you go on the market. And we actually tested it to see if the market liked it several ways. We have a great little gourmet wine shop in town. They're fantastic, and the owner is actually a sommelier, and he actually helped me, you know, when I kept bringing it into him, he'd go, nope, you got to tweak this. You got to, you know, this still, I can taste it. And I go back and do different renditions of it. But we tried it right around Christmas time, and everybody's like, oh, I'd love to have that to give somebody in their stocking. My mom has that, or my sister has that issue. Then the following spring, you know, we still didn't make a ton of it because we just had a very small test market. We started wine festivals, and amazing reaction at the wine festivals for sure.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. So it wasn't until after we did a good year of testing it, you know, visiting wineries and vineyards and gourmet wine shops to see if this was something that they needed. Same time I entered an innovation contest at ODU and won that innovation contest. And from that point on, they helped me a lot to figure out, even though I had been in business, I had not run a business or launched my own product, sort of thing, while even developing it. So they were very instrumental in helping me figure out how you bring this to market. That was part of the award. Was they gave me a year's worth of their expertise from the Innovation Center on how to launch a product.
Wow. And that was, so when was the first time you put it into a retail outlet?
Well, we put a couple in 2000, late 2008 and 17, into a couple wineries and vineyards. And then in right around 2018 is when I decided to launch it on Amazon, which was a really huge step. And it's kind of hard to put a product out there that no one's ever heard of. And I do have some competitors, but they all only hit the sulfites. Nobody works on the tannins. And most of those are very expensive to use per glass. And I wanted something economical for people, something that this adds about 20 cents to a glass. My competitors add anywhere from $3 to $4 to a glass of wine.
Wow.
And from there, it's just been getting a bigger facility to be able to produce these bottles. And you know, what kind of equipment do you need as you grow? I couldn't use the turkey baster anymore to fill my bottles, because I was sitting in my living room with a turkey baster, drawing it up and putting 10 mLs at a time into the bottle. But
do you remember which store or retail outlet you put it in first?
It was the little gourmet wine shop in town, and it was kind of selling like hotcakes. And then it was a couple of vineyards that I would be at the wine festivals, and of course the vineyards would be there selling their wines, and they would come over to me to find out what it was that I had. And interestingly enough, most of them acknowledging that a lot of people say, no, I can't even do that tasting. Or I can do one tasting and that's it. I just get a bad headache or I start sneezing or, whatever their reaction is. So they acknowledged it as well. And I wanted to acknowledge back that I didn't want to change their wine at all. I'm just taking out a preservative that you really don't need now that the bottle's open. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So how many places are you in today? You're in a lot, right? You're all over the country?
Yes, we're all over the country. On Amazon, we sell not only all over the country, but we're also on Amazon Canada, Amazon UK. We get orders from as far as Dubai, Australia. We get orders from all over the place now. We are averaging on Amazon right now about 3,000 bottles sold a week. And we have over 100 small boutique shops throughout the country. And we just launched in 2 major retail grocery chains in test markets as well. And it's just been the last year has been a very, very fast track, That's for sure.
We've come to the end of our show, and I want you to give the website out and where people can buy it, because unless you try it, you will never know, right, Jen?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So where do you go to find your product? And there are stores that are selling it maybe in your area as well.
Yes. If you go to our website, dropitwine.com, and actually there is a tab for store locator, so that if you click on that tab and put your zip code in, you can see if there is one near you. Like I said, there's not, if you look at how big the country is, 120 small shops, you may not be near one, but you can certainly order it at dropitwine.com, and we'll take care of you from there.
All right. And thank you for joining us. And when we come back the next time, we're going to talk about the awards and everything that you've done, and what's happening in the world today, especially with the pandemic and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to thank you for joining me on the first of the two-part series of Kathryn Raaker's World. Don't forget to go to our website at KathrynRaakersWorld.com. And don't forget to tune in to our Let'sJustTalkRadio.com, and you'll see it. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kathryn.
World. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathryn.